Welcome to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
Maybe we should pay attention when people claim to see the other side. In 1991, Pam Reynolds, a 35-year-old mother and musician, underwent a rare and risky brain surgery to remove a life-threatening aneurysm. Doctors had to stop her heart, drain her blood. Her body temperature was lowered, her breathing ceased, and her brain activity flatlined. Yet, when Pam was revived, she claimed she was somewhere else. According to Pam, she felt herself floating above her own body. She saw the surgeons working, heard them talking, and noticed a peculiar tool in one doctor's hand, describing it in perfect detail. The problem was, she shouldn't have known any of this. By every medical standard, she was essentially dead. Her body was completely drained of blood, leaving no possibility of hearing or seeing. Even if she could, her eyes were taped shut and her ears packed. Yet Pam's recollection was so vivid, she even recalled a female voice saying, "We have a problem. Her arteries are too small," a comment later confirmed by the surgical staff. Pam claims she then felt herself pulled through a tunnel, moving toward a light. On the other side, she was surrounded by deceased relatives, comforting her in a way she couldn't explain. Pam felt herself being pulled back. She woke up on the operating table. When she told the doctors about her experience, they were stunned. Her surgeon, Dr. Robert Spetzler, terrified. There was no possible way. She had no brain activity, no heartbeat, no blood flow. By every definition of science, she was gone. Pam insists it wasn't a dream. It was an experience, one that changed her life forever.
Some of these experiences that people report having whenever they die on the operating table are just too detailed to overlook or just write off as a fluke. We've covered several stories like this before, but I thought this one was particularly interesting because of the woman's physical state during the event. That just tells me we may not need our physical body in order to access our senses. That's a wild discovery. This woman's body was essentially turned off and she could see and hear everything going on around her. And that tells me, even if you're born blind, your spirit likely still has the capability of sight. You likely just don't have access to that sense while you're in a physical form with faulty hardware. This makes the promise that the blind will be able to see in paradise after death make a lot more sense.
Late in the evening, a man was walking down the road just heading back home when he saw something really strange. He knows he wasn't imagining things because he isn't the only person who saw it and reacted. Someone or something had been walking on the other side of the road before suddenly vanishing behind the tree. Another man who also saw the strange moment goes over to the other side of the road to see what's going on, but he finds no answer. The man recording is baffled, unable to explain what he had just seen, so he carries on recording, hoping that he would see it again. After a short while, he sees this.
Right now, you guys ain't believe me, but by there by the fire hydrant, I seen somebody walk by and they disappeared by the tree. I know you think I'm crazy. ¿Viste, güey? Iba pasando, someone was walking by, bro. And they just disappeared when they got by the tree. There was a lady walking and she just disappeared in the sidewalk. What the I know you guys ain't believe me, but somebody walking by. ¿Qué pasó, güey? Oh, güey, mira. Ahí va saliendo. What the Mira. What the hell? Salió de un hoyo, güey, no mames. Mira. Ahí va. What the What is that? ¿Qué es eso, güey?
Aquí se parece a la viejita que camina.
Es la Llorona, güey. No mames. Mira. What the hell? ¿Qué pasó, güey? Oh, güey, mira. Ahí va saliendo. What the Mira. What the hell? Salió de un hoyo, güey, no mames. Mira. Ahí va. What the What is that? ¿Qué es eso, güey?
Aquí se parece a la viejita que camina.
Es la Llorona, güey. No mames. Mira. What the hell?
A dark figure suddenly manifests along the brick wall, as if it came out from within. The guy on the other side of the road gets frightened and quickly runs back to the other side to rejoin the man recording. The figure appears as if it was moving by the whole time, although there was clearly nothing there. As we saw, did they capture something paranormal on camera?
That certainly looked suspicious when that figure seemed to appear out of nowhere, but if you look closely, I think this is an optical illusion, and I think that the poor camera quality due to the low lighting conditions added to the effect. I think that sidewalk sits higher than the base of that fence, and I think the figure is an old woman hunched over, carrying a bag or something. I think she's sitting down on the ground below the level of the sidewalk out of frame. Then she stands up and starts walking to the left, making her appear to pop up out of nowhere, but she was really just standing up from behind the sidewalk. And if you look closer, she appears to get taller towards the end of the clip. I think that's because she's walking uphill as she moves towards the left of the frame, revealing that she was walking on a surface below the level of the sidewalk. That's my take. What do you guys think about it? Hey, don't forget to click like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my merch store at barry-stepp.com.
Security cameras in Cape Town, South Africa, show the moment teenager Sarah Scott was almost abducted after calling for a taxi to take her to meet her friends. Watch how she managed to escape this attempted kidnapping.
I had my phone in my hand, actually. I cracked my screen guard by squeezing my phone so tight. Oh, wow. And I had my handbag. Normally it's over my shoulder, but I just had it like between it, and I had like clutched it like this. And yeah, he just kind of tried to push me toward the car. So he actually didn't even try to take my phone. And the next thing, the door flung open and there was a man inside that tried to pull me in. And he just said, "You're coming with us tonight, lady." And I luckily I'm strong, so I just elbowed him and wriggled around toward the back of the car, but screaming. And what came over me was this lion's roar. I didn't scream from my throat. I screamed from my belly.
That is far more terrifying than any supposed ghost video I've ever seen. You hear about people doing stuff like this, but it is crazy to actually see it happen. That girl is lucky. If that guy's buddies would have gotten out of the car to help him, she probably wouldn't be around to tell this story.
What really happened to the Hindenburg? In the 1930s, the Hindenburg were on the verge of revolutionizing travel. They were faster, quieter, and could carry more passengers in unmatched comfort. However, by 1937, all that advancement ended in a fiery blaze officially. It was blamed on a hydrogen leak, but eyewitness accounts reported strange flashes before the fire began, opening up the investigation into whether the Hindenburg disaster could have been sabotaged. Well, you see, right about the same time, the Hindenburg started to gain traction. It just so happened to be the era where big corporations were investing heavily into aircraft technologies. But the only problem was that the Hindenburg was way more cost-effective to run, leading some to believe that the disaster was orchestrated to destroy public trust in airships. So could the Hindenburg have been intentionally destroyed so that the people in power could profit off aircraft travel?
I've done a lot of digging into the circumstances surrounding the Hindenburg disaster. I think when you look at all the details of the incident and factor in the advancements in air travel that were being worked on at the time, think of all the money that stood to be gained if we switched course in how we handled air travel, and then think about the fact that our government has been caught multiple times either planning or actually pulling off a false flag attack against its own population, all in an effort to manipulate the public. It kind of feels like this had to be what was going on. I doubt we'll ever know for sure, but I've pretty much made my mind up at this point that this is what probably took place. They wanted to develop a sense of mistrust in blimps so that they could manipulate people into thinking the airplanes, although more expensive, are a safer means of air travel.
Samyaza was responsible for corrupting humanity in the worst way imaginable. Samyaza led the 200 Watchers to sin against mankind, and this nearly wiped out humanity completely. And perhaps it would have if God didn't intervene. This is how this angel nearly eradicated humanity as a whole. First, Samyaza had lust for human women. However, he was scared to commit such a sin by himself. So he told the 200 Watchers this: "I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin." And they all answered him and said, "Let us all swear an oath and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan but to do this thing." Then swear they all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. This agreement occurred on Mount Hermon. After the Watchers made this agreement, all hell broke loose. The result of Samyaza and the other Watchers interbreeding with humans were monstrous hybrid beings known as the Nephilim. These hybrids were so evil that they nearly erased humanity completely.
That clip just got me thinking. So many of us suspect that these UFOs we keep seeing flying around overhead are the fallen angels that are written about in the Bible. And it just occurred to me, we're all awaiting this big reveal, the moment that everything gets exposed and we get to find out what the actual truth really is, and what these beings are and where they came from. And we may all be walking around with their written history in our Bibles. That's just a wild circumstance to be in if that's true.
Now, who's ready to go deep down the conspiracy rabbit hole today? I got a loose set of facts that I'm gonna stitch together, and I'm gonna speculate wildly. Who's in? All right, now I'm sure you guys have seen this theory that these mountains are actually ancient trees. I mean, just look at them. I mean, they don't look like normal mountains, do they? They look like tree stumps. Probably because they were. I mean, they look like tree stumps, don't they? You know, in many parts of the world, they actually believe in these ancient trees. They have mythologies and legends of a world tree, including the Norsemen, who believed in Yggdrasil. What if I told you one of the major governments in the world actually believed in this kind of thing? And I've got evidence. Check this out. The German Reichstag building, probably the most famous building in Germany, that houses Germany's parliament. You know, it got a renovation in the late 90s. They added this dome and this crazy architectural feature. What is that? When I first saw it, I thought, maybe that's a tornado. Did the Germans have a tornado machine? Well, I haven't completely ruled that out, but I noticed the shape of that dome is odd, and I'd seen it before. So I overlaid Yggdrasil over it, and it's an exact match. That's strange, right? Is that a world tree up there? Is the dome symbolic of the firmament? You know what they said about this feature? That it allows the people to literally walk above their government. Take a look at where their parliament would be located in the underworld. That's interesting. In Norse mythology, you know what the bottom part of the tree was called? Niflheim. Very similar to the biblical term Nephilim, which means fallen ones.
I don't know if this is the Nephilim, right?
I was going to say.
I don't know.
I know.
Here we go. Am I reaching, bro? Probably, but you know, truth is stranger than fiction, and yeah, what do you guys think?
I think that's just more evidence pointing to the possibility that these are fallen angels, and that our world governments know that's what they are, and they're using this symbology because they know it has actual significance. That building 100% looks like it was designed off that image. It wouldn't line up that well on accident. If this doesn't have any significance, why would they spend all that time, money, and effort to build it? You wouldn't. You would just hire a designer to come in and design you a pretty building that meets all your needs. This thing was designed to be a showpiece.
Did you know this? Because I had no clue. Gopher wood that God told Noah to build the ark with, also known as Torreya taxifolia, is found in a small area of Florida and Georgia? How in the world did they get gopher wood from Florida to build the ark in the Middle East? When God told Joseph to gather the corn as the sand of the sea, and the word grain can also refer to a type of seed or small food particle, like corn, rye, barley, oats, and maize. But corn is indigenous to the Americas and wasn't brought to the Middle East until 1500? Or the fact that the Americas actually contain more pyramid structures than the rest of the planet combined? And why are there parts of the Grand Canyon that are completely closed off to visitors, and there's even mines or caves that are gated shut? What are we not being told about this world that we live in? Well, we do know that Satan rules this world according to Matthew chapter 4, and when he was in heaven, his wings covered the throne of God. And we do know that he is the master deceiver, always covering the truth in a lie. He's always been covering things. But look, I could be wrong. This could be just some wild conspiracy. I'm just sharing my thoughts and opinions. You gotta go do the research yourself.
This is a strange one, and I'm speaking specifically about the gopher wood issue. Some online sources are making the claim that what we call gopher wood today is not what was being referenced in the story of the Ark. They're claiming that it's likely a different type of tree, and that the name gopher wood was applied later on to the tree that we currently use that name for. I don't buy that at all. Think about this. That's the very first book of the Bible. What one would assume is one of the oldest texts known to man. And the audience of the time was familiar enough with this tree that it could be referenced as simply gopher wood. Wouldn't that imply that this tree was fairly easy for people to identify, and that it was likely in large supply in the area if people were familiar with it? This is more evidence pointing to the possibility that some of the stories in the Bible took place in North America.
The following clips are from a rabbit hole that I don't recommend following, and they were uploaded by someone that goes by the name Kenneth Hassler. Now, as of recording this, Kenneth has an active Instagram, but he first gained notoriety over on TikTok, where he was quickly banned, after many dubbed him to be a serial killer, hidden in plain sight. This is because he would often record himself dancing in his basement in a creepy mask, with songs like Goodbye Horses from Silence of the Lambs, and in some videos, he showcases his girlfriend, which is just a sex doll. And there's a reason behind this, because he has an open dislike for women, and this just reinforces everyone's belief that he is indeed dangerous.
I could say 100%, every single negative aspect of my life, women are entirely to blame for.
Now it should be noted that Kenneth claims that this persona that he puts on is just a bit, and that it all started due to how he was treated by women when he was younger, because according to him, when he was younger, women constantly called him creepy, which led him to purchase the doll and create clips like this next one that reads, POV, I'm trying to mimic your screams in an attempt to become a more believable woman. Now these clips are just scratching the surface of Kenneth's digital footprint, because the majority of them I can't share here due to their graphic nature, but it gives you a look inside Kenneth's unhinged mental state, and whether or not Kenneth is just doing this for attention. It's very clear that his disdain for women is not normal or based in any sort of reality. And reading through his comments, he's well aware of people making videos about him, which only seems to embolden him.
For those of you who are like me and don't listen to warnings about checking out certain types of content, you should listen to this one. There's some really messed up stuff this guy is posting, and I don't even know how he's getting away with some of it. I'm not convinced the guy is dangerous, though. He very well may be, but I think he's just doing all this for attention on the internet. If you look at his profile, he uses a lot of words that are clearly meant to trigger people and get them to want to argue with him. I think he's just some internet troll who's having way too much fun.
So Microsoft just announced the discovery of a new state of matter that's not a solid, liquid, gas, or plasma, which is pretty insane. It's a very remarkable discovery, and the reason why this is such a big deal is because it really pushes forward quantum computing. This is a discovery that people thought was decades away, and it's here today. And this is such a massive deal because quantum computing is the gateway of discovery for humanity right now. For instance, if I want to discover a new material, I can go into a lab with a bunch of materials, mix them up manually, and try and find a new one, see the result of what I'm doing. Whereas a quantum computer can do extremely accurate simulations, and the amount of time that it would take me to discover a new material, the quantum computer will have discovered millions of new materials in that same time frame. And just to put it into perspective, Microsoft, when they announced this new chip called the Majorana 1, and it uses this new topological state that they discovered, they say that this 1 million qubit quantum computer chip would be more powerful, it'd be able to do more things than all of Earth's computers working together combined. And this new topological state that they're using in these chips, it's now the gateway forward to fitting 1 million qubits in the palm of your hand, which is an insane thing to think about. And honestly, I'm actually surprised that the cryptocurrency space hasn't reacted more to this news, seeing that cryptographic security just isn't there yet. This is a quantum computing discovery that wasn't expected to be made for another 10, 20 years, and it's here today. The implications of that, with the current trajectory of exponential growth in the quantum computing space, we could see a one-chip computer that can bring down an entire network, like say the XRP network, because cryptographic security, it's just not there yet. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen and how fast these discoveries continue to be made.
What a time to be alive. We've passed the point now where discoveries that we hope to be making in 10 or 20 years are now being made unexpectedly. I can't help but get excited over that. I feel so fortunate to be born in the time that I was. I'm getting to see technological advancements in my lifetime that my grandfather never even thought of. If we're advancing at this rate, I may actually be around whenever they switch over to flying cars. I might be around whenever they discover how to get people to live to 200 years old. Personally, I couldn't care less about the cryptocurrency aspect of that video, but I wanted to put this in here because of that announcement of not only the crazy technological advancement, but they're also claiming they discovered a new form of matter. Did anyone else find that to be a mind-blowing detail that this guy just skipped right over?
Some of you might know me because of a story I broke last March concerning something called the Guardians of the Looking Glass. Basically, what we had here is a technology that was built which would give those people who operated that technology, of course, a huge advantage because they could see and view timelines within a stream, within a field. You know, the awareness of this technology came to us through certain whistleblowers, and one of them was a guy by the name of Dan Burish, who went into some detail about how that technology was acquired. It starts at the end of the Second World War. It was the first time that the United States ever came into contact with certain ETs, you could say, who began appearing over the skies of the United States. And their appearance, again, was accompanied by crashes and captures of both the craft and the pilots piloting that craft. And it leads directly to the formation of the breakaway civilization, that which was created by one ultra secret society that was called Majestic 12. They who have ultimately come into possession of the looking glass material and time travel and other technologies ever since. So between 1947 and the early 50s, there were a series of crashes that took place, not just one, and they started the whole back engineering process. And they also had captured extraterrestrial beings. And the looking glass has ended up in S4 Area 51.
The program out at Area S4 consisted of 3 projects: Project Galileo, Project Sidekick, and Project Looking Glass. Project Galileo dealt with gravity propulsion. Project Sidekick dealt with a beam weapon that had a neutron source and was focused by a gravity lens. Project Looking Glass dealt with the physics of seeing back in time.
What they really discovered, in principle, is that the ETs are not really truly ETs. They're us from the future. They call them J-rods.
A long period of introduction into needing, say an ABE, an alien. I call him J-Rod, of course that's what they call him, but that wasn't his, I don't know if that was his real name or not. That's the name that the linguist gave him. So he knew J-Rod.
Came from Zeta Reticuli, which is what we are going to colonize in the future. And they traveled back 52,000 and 45,000 years respectively.
State by origin? Okay, yesterday you told us you traveled, and I quote, thousands of light years to get here.
There's no chance that footage there at the end was legit. The biggest problem I have with the theory of Project Looking Glass is that if the government acquired this technology from backwards engineering a crashed UFO, and the inhabitants of that UFO are supposed to be humans from the future, couldn't these aliens or future humans use the technology of Project Looking Glass to look back in time and see that their mission would fail? Wouldn't they know going into the mission that they're going to crash? According to these guys, these aliens are us from the future, so they could have looked into the past to see if they were going to have any issues when they came here to visit. It just doesn't make any sense to me that they would be this highly advanced, and yet they would forget to check something so obvious before coming into the past to investigate us.
Since November last year, a lot of people have been getting this weird feeling as if there's something off. I don't know what it is. You don't know what it is. Your mom doesn't know what it is. No one knows what it is, but it's as if there's something off. And 2025 literally feels as if we're living in a different dimension or a parallel universe. So then this lady comes along. This is Cassiopeia 7. She's been uploading videos since last week and she's been going viral. Everyone's talking about it. Actually, she's freaking a lot of people out with this supposed conversation that she's having with this entity called 7.
Contact 3, that's us, fails 29,149 days after Contact 1. 4,324 days in your future, which is May 27th, 2025.
So this thing is making crazy predictions about something that's about to happen in May 2025. And at first I thought, this is ridiculous. This is a LARP or a fake story to grab attention. But the deeper I went into this, the more I found this bizarre connection with this theory that the orbs, the alien orbs that are supposedly coming from the ocean, are actually not coming from the ocean. They're actually leaving Earth for some reason.
The creator of the video that I tagged below said something that is actually terrifying. She said, what if the aliens are not coming they're leaving.
Then there's this bizarre connection with Aleister Crowley's gray alien entity that he talked to, the alien pods.
Aleister Crowley, a very famous occultist who practiced ritual magic, he conducted a ritual that's called the Amalantra working, and he made contact with an alien named Lamb. This alien entity that he drew out was the first gray alien that was ever depicted. This magic ritual, it goes all the way back to the Book of Enoch. There were these fallen angels, they called the Watchers, and the Watchers came and they taught man how to use magic, and these entities taught them the Enochian language. Crowley said, okay, well, let's talk to these entities using that Enochian language, and he did that many times. For decades and decades, the government had this internal Pentagon group that said, hey, all this alien activity could be demonic in some way.
And this magnetic pole shift that's already happening.
So we live in Florida on the Panhandle, and this is what we're dealing with right now. It has been snowing for 5 hours straight.
This is the wildest thing I think I've ever seen. Oh my God, it's so wild.
So this is really wild because it connects a bunch of things that people have never connected before. So what do you think?
I think this is a really interesting take on the whole alien invasion phenomenon. Maybe they are about to leave. If that were the case, though, I would imagine they would all just lift off and go. I just feel like they wouldn't all be hanging around if there was something that was forcing them to abandon the Earth. Unless, of course, the pole shift is about to happen. Maybe they're taking measurements or something so they can better predict them in the future. What do y'all think is going on? Do y'all think we're going to have another pole shift soon? That there's going to be a new mud flood / Great Reset that's going to wipe mankind and everything out with it? Are we fixing to have to start all over again? I'm convinced it's happened in the past, and if it's happened once before, it can happen again. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to click like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my merch store at barry-stepp.com. And don't forget to drop a photo of your merch over in the Discord to get your photo in a video. But with all that out of the way, I hope everyone's having a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.